worry about it.
Uh-oh. Let me turn that off. Sorry, before we go live.
No, you're good.
That's my phone. I got the Ring app, and let me just. Yeah, it's better to turn the phone off anyway.
Somehow this is doing it. It says private. Oh yeah, let's see. Somehow this is not working right. We're on YouTube, but
okay, I had to click OK for being recorded. I think that was maybe, I don't know.
Let's see what's happening here.
Well, that's okay because now the dog is barking.
Oh, okay. Well, it says we're on, but let me go and direct.
Actually, before we see if that's better. It's a little better. Okay.
Let's see. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out if it's showing us or not. Can you guys hear us? Okay. Okay, we are live, and I just had to update the link, so I think we are good. Let me just turn the sound off on this browser. Okay, can everyone? Okay, we're good. We're live.
Yay!
Yay! Yay! Okay, I am here with Barbara Beck, managing editor of the Roswell Daily Record. She is an incredible person, and I made an intro to introduce her. So let me see if I can go ahead and show that with you now. Let me find it. Here we go.
Hey, Birdie, while you're looking for it, I'm actually the publisher, but that's okay.
Oh, publisher. Okay, Barbara's everything. Okay, can you guys see this? Here we go.
Welcome to Albuquerque UFO UAP Explorations. We are honored to introduce our guest, Barbara Beck, the managing editor of the Roswell Daily Record.
That would be
the
publisher.
Roswell Daily Record has a rich history. It was this very newspaper that first broke the news of the infamous crash in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. With the headline, Roswell Army Airfield Captures Flying Saucer on Ranch in Roswell Region. This historic moment marked the genesis of the modern UFO era, and the Roswell Daily Record played a pivotal role in documenting it. The Roswell Daily Record debuted on September 1st, 1903. The paper endorsed statehood for New Mexico, which was finally achieved in 1912. The editorial staff wrote at the time, "The Roswell Daily Record wants statehood because we want the privilege of minding our own business." In recent times, the Roswell Daily Record has embarked on an extensive journey of exploration and research into the 1947 Roswell incident. The Roswell Daily Record has also been at the forefront of hosting thought-provoking conferences that center around this pivotal event and other intriguing developments in UFO research. These conferences have featured distinguished luminaries in the field of ufology, including figures like Nick Pope, Ben Hansen, and John Alexander. We are honored to have Barbara Beck as our special guest, who will delve into the Roswell Daily Record's extensive research efforts and share insights into what's currently transpiring in Roswell in the context of the UFO disclosure process.
Well, there we go. Publisher, ladies and gentlemen.
That is cute. I like that.
Thank you.
We have to borrow that for the UFO festival.
Yeah, I'll make you a special one.
Oh, thank you. Great. Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're here. So, hey, what is the feeling like in Roswell these days? What are you hearing from boots on the ground about how people are feeling about the disclosure process?
Well, I think it's really interesting because, we are the only time that I know of that the military has given an article or, a story to the newspaper and said, guess what? We think here's something, we think it's an alien crash, but here it is if you want it. And then of course it was like instantly became super famous. And then
right.
Then the general in Fort Worth is like, oh no, this is bad. So he shut it all down, and then interestingly enough staged a press conference in Roswell, which is one of the famous photos that
yes.
the press are all around. That was a staged event by the military, because during that time they had to bring in equipment to actually be able to get the phone lines. That was the days of the old phone operators, where they would connect you. So it's really an interesting background. But I think that we have some exciting things going on. And boots on the ground is that now there's some acknowledgement that UAPs exist, which, for the first time ever, the government said, that yes, okay, this is something that we now have to admit that actually exists.
Yeah, it must be an incredible feeling, for people that live there and who have been there, families have been there for generations, to finally see some validation after all that nonsense, crash test dummies, weather balloons, all of the ridiculous explanations the government has given over the years. It must feel very vindicating right now.
Well, interestingly enough, Birdie, the story that I really have is not so much about my own family, but soon after I became publisher and I came to the newspaper, I was skeptical, honestly. Growing up in New Mexico and Roswell, Santa Fe, I grew up around it, but I was skeptical. But then I had a woman, a little old elderly lady, came in my office, like not long after I became publisher. And she's like, I really want to talk to you. Can you talk to me now? And I'm like, okay, you try and be nice and let everyone talk. This was soon after somebody else came and said they were abducted. So, my was like, okay, sure. So she sits down and she starts telling me about her husband, who was a scientist in Los Alamos, and how he was called out in 47 when the crash happened, and how he was told not to say anything. We've heard that repeatedly about this with the Roswell incident. And she said that was all true, but then she told me some interesting facts about the artifact that her husband told her, which was really fascinating. Yeah. That had never been known before. And she was so sweet. She was like, you know what? You are the newspaper that broke the story and reported the story, not just one article, but many. And she's like, I want someone to know this because I'm probably going to pass away soon. And I want you to know what my husband told me. So
wow,
that was just like amazing. And honestly, the hair in the back of my neck was just standing up or whatever, I was like, I went skeptic to, okay, could this be really true? Because she had such a presence about her, and then soon after, I found out it was true that her husband was in Los Alamos as a scientist. And so it was just like so amazing. That's what really kind of turned my mind. But also I think I only have her story and other people I've talked to, like relatives of the military that was there at the time. And it's been mentioned by everybody, even my own family, that people were threatened. So now we're being validated, but I don't hear sorry. Sorry for all that.
Right, exactly. That's an amazing story. I think there are probably more people out there who have this kind of family history, and maybe they're afraid of coming forward because of all the threats.
Yeah, it's really hard to know, for sure. I mean, it's been quite a long time ago, but it was just such an honor that she came to talk to me. Looking back, I wish I had been less skeptical and more like, oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. But well, I didn't know if it was a real thing or whether she was just, you want to be supportive when people tell you things, I mean, like, you don't know. But
exactly.
It's important to be open-minded about it, but I'm a lot more open-minded about it now. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. You've been around so many people that have had a connection to this, or are researchers, all kinds of celebrities too, that come to Roswell Festival. So you've certainly, gotten an earful, I bet, from all kinds of people.
Well, and another thing most people don't know is that there was a second newspaper that was actually had a different take on the story at the time. So maybe if you want to make an intro or something, I can come back and talk about that, or we can talk about it here if you want now, because most people don't know that there was a second newspaper at the time. So
why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Okay. Well, I was reading an account about the original, like, you can't really read a lot of the fonts, if you look at whatever, but we actually digitized both newspapers now. So I was reading the actual headline, these are like primary source material. I mean, it's just like no one's seen it since 1947. And so I was reading that, and the account was they delivered the information to the two newspapers. And I was like, what two newspapers? There's only the Roswell Daily Record, right? And then looking in the archives, I found the second one, which is the Roswell Morning Dispatch. So we had, soon after, we had someone making a documentary come to the newspaper, and they were looking at the archives. And I was like, they found it too. And I'm like, oh, I don't think you can see that. I called my copyright attorney, and she's like, shut it down right now. Get him off, the like thing that looks at my belt. She's like, no. So now that is actually trademarked. So we have 4 trademarks. So it's very unusual.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I think it's only us and like the New York Times, I think, that have trademarks in this. So it's really pretty cool. So anyway.
That is super cool.
So if you read the story of the Morning Dispatch, and I wish I could share, maybe I can give that to you, and you can share it with your readers. But it was a little bit, it was more skeptical with the second. So we call it the cover-up. We call the original story that the military, gave to the newspaper, that the newspaper published, was the first report. And we call the second one, which is the weather balloon story, the cover-up. And then so it never really came out with the cover-up. It was like more skeptical. It's like, well, the military is saying there's a weather balloon, but so it's really fascinating to read a different complete headline on this, and get a different take. And so that's cool. And then they have another story in there that's really cool, where they're talking about what's going on in the RDR with all the international media calling in, and how they're inundated with so even soon after it happened, it was like a sensation, even back then. So it's really
Yeah.
interesting to, see that and hear about that. But anyway, so we
Yeah,
found a
I
lot.
think there's
Our-
I bet you found a lot. There are so many different small newspapers across New Mexico that probably carried interesting stories at the time.
yeah,
And all of that's a lot of that's probably just buried somewhere.
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
fascinating just reading the ads and whatever, because they're like stuff we would
Yeah.
never say today. It's like, oh my God, they would just use politically incorrect wording with a lot of things,
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
but it was a different world, that's for sure. So
Yeah, definitely. Small town, still kind of the Wild West in many ways.
So I know we share something in common. You wrote a musical and I wrote a screenplay.
That's right. Yeah, we're both journalists and have literary bent, and we are both working on creative properties that revolve around the Roswell crash.
Yeah, we got to figure out how to make that go a little further down the line, right?
Yeah, we definitely do.
So thank you. And what else? I would just like to say that I think the one thing, when Roswell did not make Roswell famous. I mean, everybody knows this. Who knows,
Yeah.
right? We know
Right.
that it was made famous by other people. And then I think that kind of has changed things, because for so long we would let people come in and just say all this sensational stuff that may not necessarily be true, right? And
Right.
we were just like, okay, go ahead, thanks for eating at our restaurants and staying in our but I think that's changing now. I think we want to own Roswell more. The people that are Roswell kind of want to own what Roswell is, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that the Roswell Festival every year, the UFO Festival, has been just incredible just to experience it over the years and how it's changed. There was a lot more sensationalism, I think, say a decade ago, 15 years ago, a lot of crazier activities, and it's been getting more and more serious, I've noticed over the years. And what's happening this year for the Roswell Festival? I hear there's some changes in town.
Yeah. Well, we've always been a more serious event. I mean, we started out with our event with speakers, Nick Pope and, Ben Hansen and Mark D'Antonio. And, so we had a more serious kind of focus. And then this year, last year we did the film festival for the first time. And it's an international film festival. We had 1,000 entries. We didn't charge, but we had 1,000. We had people coming from New Zealand, Argentina, all over the place.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was just immediately just like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah.
So this year we're doing the film festival again. And this year we're going to do like we did last year. Pretty much most of our events were at the conference center, Roswell Convention Center. So we will be there in room A and B. It's right after the 4th of July. So starts on our events the 5th and 6th. And then we are working together with other groups. Main Street is going to have a lot of events. There'll be Galacticon, they'll have events, and the UFO Museum will also do events. So we're kind of working in tandem together, but so our emphasis is going to be the film festival. We also have some really interesting people coming, like the Paranormal Twins. And
that should be fun.
Yeah. And the guy who found the Mexico mummies, he's coming.
Jaime Maussan.
Jaime Maussan is coming. And then we're also having Nick Pope back. And we're also having David Childress. So we'll have the Ancient Aliens group. And so and also screenings of films. How fun will that be? Like, we're looking at doing for 4th of July, like setting up at the courthouse, and just doing screenings of films, and then watch fireworks. So I think that's pretty funny.
Oh, that sounds like fun, actually. I'm
Yeah,
up for that. I'm coming for the whole thing. So I can't wait. Every year, it's one of the highlights of my entire year is coming
that's
down and
great.
hanging out, being in the place where really the modern UFO era started.
Yeah,
So we've got here's a kind of a related question from one of our viewers right now. Have any surveys been done of Roswell residents regarding how they feel about the crash event? So do most people believe it happened, or are people overall skeptical, or what do you think's happening?
well, I think most people that grew up in Roswell with Roswell roots have grown up with stories. Hearing
Yeah,
stories. I knew
right.
someone. My uncle was at the base, or we've all heard the
Yeah.
stories of all these things going on, and that I mean, my own like family member told me that I was told by the Ballards about the four child-sized coffins that in the middle of
Right.
the night, and how when they got there, they were like the
Yeah.
were there, and they're like, just hand those over, and leave. Don't if you don't you can't say anything about what you've seen here or what.
Yeah.
So, I think that the new generation or the younger people are probably just like, yeah, we do the festival every year.
Right.
I don't know if
Right.
they
It's
have
just a
that
party for them.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So have you been out to the crash site yourself?
I have been out there. There's really not that much out there. One time we were trying to do tours there. So we
Yeah.
contacted the family that owned it for a long time, and they're like, well, we sold it. So, and the new guy who bought it is a rancher, and he wants nothing to do with any of this. He won't do
Wow.
tours. He won't do whatever you guys, would want to do. But I mean, there's a little monument thing, and there's not so much out there. But about the metal. I don't know if your reader, I mean, if your listeners have heard about the metal that was found out there. So,
Yeah, I have because I've seen the presentations in Roswell, but why don't you tell everyone what's been found? It's super cool actually.
oh, okay. Well, one of our speakers
Yeah.
came out, and he wanted to do a trip out to, you can't really get on the crash site because the rancher does not want anybody on there, but adjacent to it, it's BLM land. So
Right.
they found, and I don't even know exactly, I don't think they'll reveal where it exactly is. I mean, so three people went out there, our speaker, and then Toby Martinez, who works for us, he's a UIP reporter, and then
Yes.
Massimo, who from Argentina, who works with us. He
Yeah.
the film festival. So I don't know who else, but they all went out there, and then
Yeah.
they found this high grade. It looks like aluminum, and
Yeah.
I do have a sample of that if you guys want to see it.
Wow. Yes,
I can
definitely.
show you.
Definitely.
So anyway, we
Yeah.
found this, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, we got to test to see what it is." So
Yeah.
the newspaper, we did several tests. What we found was that this is a high grade aluminum, which is kind of what it looks like, and
Right.
they found some unknown alloys in it. Unknown, like,
Huh.
didn't show up in the testing. We've done, I think,
Yeah.
rounds of testing, and there's still some unknown alloys that are showing up on that. So it's like fascinating, because first off, why would that be there, in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah, exactly.
near Corona,
Exactly.
near the crash site? I mean, like, why would that even
Right.
there? So, um,
Yeah.
so anyway, there's, I think, further testing, but it's very, very specific high testing that you have to find a facility
Yeah.
to do. And so,
Right.
we're just like, now what do we do? You know, so that's what that is. But it's so exciting because it's something,
Yeah.
it's like physical evidence. We have the stories, we have
Yeah.
newspaper clippings, we have, relatives maybe that we've talked to, but this is
Right.
a physical, thing. And I would love to know if somebody at the paper, like an editor or whatever, was given something, and
Yeah,
just,
and
I mean,
hid it away somewhere. You know,
yeah,
you know somebody in town, or probably several people have something stuffed away somewhere, maybe terrified to bring it out.
yeah, or they're just like,
Yeah.
we've tried to get copies of the old papers, and people are like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to give that up, Just I think unfortunately it's like they think that it's I don't know if they think it's worth a lot. I mean, actually, I'm surprised how much on
Right.
eBay things go for.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, do you want me to show you it?
Yes,
I have to go in the other
absolutely.
room, so there'll be a little bit
Okay,
of
I will entertain everybody. Okay, everybody, how
okay.
exciting is this? We are about to see potentially a piece of the Roswell crash. Very exciting. I'm super excited. Don't take a bathroom break right now because you don't want to miss this. Anyone have any questions? Go ahead and type them in the chat. Okay, here's Barbara with her mystery medal.
Okay, this may be really kind of hard to see. I may have to get like a flashlight or something, but
yeah.
So here you can see, like, it's at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, you can see it rolling
Really,
around in there.
let me get a flashlight, okay?
Okay.
I
Okay.
think that maybe we can see it better. So hang on one sec.
You got it. Okay. Waiting for a flashlight now. The suspense is killing me too, Dennis. How cool is this, guy? Seeing a piece of the Roswell crash, potentially some mystery metal that they found that is not exactly like normal high grade aluminum. I don't know exactly what the scientific analysis is yet, and I'm sure things are in the works, but this is pretty exciting.
Okay, so
Okay, here we go.
but it's out of battery. The batteries are dead. So I'm just gonna try. I'm trying to get innovative here. So I'm thinking,
yeah, MacGyver it there.
if I take it out and I put it on my phone, which is
that
kind
might
of
work. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the phone has a dark background.
Oh, you can totally see it on the phone. Oh, it's flat. It's flat. Wow.
It's pretty flat.
Wow, look at that. Triangular shaped kind of piece. And yeah, wow. You can see that really well, actually. That was smart.
And
good job.
It's yeah. Oh, there it's moving around, but I'm trying to show
Don't lose it.
Yeah. So there's the other side of it. My phone is really dirty, so
that's
you
okay.
Can see that. See how it's really kind of interesting. It's not what you would. Yeah. It's not like a piece of rock or
right. Yeah.
And sorry,
that's
I don't have
so interesting.
But yeah, so that's it right there.
Yeah. So, hey, Barbara, do you think that there's still anything else out there to find? Do you think if people went and just the right location, brought a metal detector, or kind of went on their hands and knees through the ground, they could still find anything interesting?
I don't know. I personally feel that I'm trying to get it a little more. It's chopping off my face there, but sorry about that. I feel that the best way of us finding out what's happening is through the newspaper archive. And I will mention that there's been multiple sightings in New Mexico during that year. So it's not just Roswell.
Yes. Right. Well, okay. What other sightings were there? I've read a little bit about it, but I bet a lot of people haven't heard about this.
Well, I can share there was one sighting that it was near Carrizozo. So what's interesting, and of course, this is from primary newspaper source. These are people that went into the newspaper and told them.
Right.
This was in an age of unsophistication where people are like, oh, I'm going to put this on YouTube and make a lot of money, whatever, right? People were pretty just like, black and white more so in those days.
Right.
So this happened at night. Okay. There was a couple going in a car one way. This is about 10 o'clock at night, right? So they're going down the road one way. They saw a disc come down, and then it was there for a minute, and then they just were able to describe what it looked like, how fast it went there, and then it took off, right? So at the same time, there was another group of people, like two people, I think, going the opposite way, who actually saw the same thing. And then away. Now, the interesting thing is they went into different towns, right?
Right.
So the couple from, I think, Carrizozo described what they saw. And the other couple, I think it was a couple, described what they saw in a different town. I'd have to read the article. Interestingly enough, they were almost exactly the same. These people didn't know each other. They'd never met, they said in there. And what they described is very, very similar. So that's pretty interesting because
that is, and it makes you wonder, is that what crashed? Did they see the object that crashed? Right.
Well, yeah, and we don't know. I mean, was there more than one crash, where they're right. We know it didn't happen in July. I mean, that's just when we celebrate it, but we don't really know. We don't know when it crashed. We have no idea when it crashed, the rancher found it, and then it went to the newspaper, then it became famous. We kind of celebrate when that kind of was in process, but we have actually no idea when it actually crashed.
Right. Yeah. No one saw it happen. Yeah.
Well, there is one interesting article about that with a couple.
Yeah.
But they don't say they saw it crash. They just say they saw it go over, and this is in Roswell. So they saw, a flashing light go over, like it looked like a disc, but they don't say we saw it crash. And they didn't really say when it was. It was like this week. You want to go back in time and interview these people.
Right.
Was it on Monday? Was it Tuesday? When was it? So, but we don't really know when the actual original crash was, which is
yeah, and there were so many sightings around the whole state, like kind of adjacent to that time there. And then there was the crash that allegedly happened at Aztec.
Right.
There was the crash at Trinity that Paola Harris and Jacques Vallée have talked about.
Right.
And I guess, so it's just really interesting. And what do you think caused all the crashes? Do you think, some people have said maybe it's radar. Maybe it was thunderstorms.
I think, one theory that I kind of agree with is like if you look into it from a historian viewpoint,
right?
What was happening in this country during that time? The atom bomb,
right?
Thing had just all, there was like a war, but with the testing going on, that could be seen from space, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was probably the first time that in our history that you could actually see, something that was probably unusual from space.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Very true.
Yeah. So maybe we're coming to check out what was going on. And then I know there was a big lightning storm that night,
Right.
So it was a very big lightning storm. So maybe the crash happened, or maybe it was a government cover up. That's another favorite theory.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was both, like in my screenplay.
That is going to be a bestseller. I have absolutely zero doubt.
Well, I got to focus on all the archives. So that I am hoping to write a book. I've started the research for it, and the book is going to be about all of the primary source, all of the stuff that was in the original 1947, both those newspapers, the Roswell Record and the Morning Dispatch. So that's what the book's about.
Oh, that is going to be absolutely fascinating, just to take a look at that entire historical record and to see kind of day by day, step by step, what the journalists were reporting, what people were saying. I think that's just fascinating.
Yeah, it was a different age too, so people would,
for sure.
In a ways it has more credence because people weren't out to make money doing something. They just they saw something and they came in and told their newspaper, or they told other people. I mean, it was like it was so different back then, the way
people weren't on social media seeing all kinds of things that could give them ideas. We didn't even have like television like we had even 10 years later than the Roswell event.
Well, there's another interesting article I came across, which is the actual general, in Fort Worth, who said, hey, if you guys see something that you think is alien in origin, he doesn't say don't believe it's not real because it's all fake. He said contact your sheriff or the military. Wow. That really said something, it's like contact us so we can try and cover it up, so
exactly, contact us so we can shoot your family and stick you in a hole.
yeah
Wow. So someone's asking here, Petra is asking, are they still having sightings today in the Roswell area? Has there been like an uptick in sightings, anything seen in recent years?
Well, I think that they had a sighting when they were at the crash site. I mean, I'd have to find out more about it, but I can share that later on, or give you the information and share it. And I have known personally people that have seen things.
Yeah.
So I've only had one sighting and it wasn't really much. So, it's kind of a disappointing thing.
Well, tell us about your sighting, even if it was small. I think a lot of us have had small sightings, and it's always good to hear someone else's perspective. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if your listeners know, but I'm actually a third generation newspaper publisher. My father, my brother, my grandfather were all at the Record. So my grandfather bought it in the 1930s. So we actually owned it as early as that, well before the crash story. So my brother Corey and I were coming back from El Paso one night, and it was about 12 at night. It was pretty late. We'd gone to a concert there in El Paso. And so we were coming back, and I was driving. My brother was sleeping, and all of a sudden I just saw this like streak. And it was pretty bright, but you know how it is when you're driving, you can't just like, there's something. So I pulled over, and then I got out and I looked, and it was gone. And I spent like 5 minutes just looking around, and I'm like, did I imagine it? Was but there was no one on the road. It was, pretty dead on that road. So there was really no one. It was very odd. So that's it.
Hey, that's still amazing. And, it's still unexplained. So it absolutely counts. And you mentioned, your amazing family history in the publishing world here in New Mexico. And just to let everyone know out there, I used to be the arts and entertainment writer for the Las Vegas Optic, which Barbara's family used to own. So we have that kind of connection too.
Which is really cool. Yeah. That paper. Yeah. But my dad was a pilot too. He flew a lot. He flew for United, and he flew in one of the wars. And I asked him, he said, if you ask any pilot, they'll tell you they've seen seen things up there that is, are weird. And he said,
Right.
yeah, he told me like a story. He saw something, kind of same thing. It kind of was there
Yeah.
1 minute and then it was just gone, so.
Wow.
And it was just like, I think it was when he was flying for United, at the time, because he was a
Yeah.
commercial pilot. So,
Right.
I think a lot of people have stories, and it's
I do too.
so, that's the thing. We have to think about the other generations too. So maybe talk to your grandparents, talk to your great uncles, the older generations. Like,
Yeah.
did you ever see anything? What was it like? Because we should document that.
Yes, we should.
So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Everyone should definitely ask all your relatives, or even your kids. Maybe your kids have seen something and haven't told you. Grandparents, uncles, aunts. Get it documented now, because things are changing rapidly in this whole kind of area of disclosure. And I wonder what the world's going to look like if the president comes out and says, we are not alone. How do you think that might change Roswell? Do you think it's going to become a big tourist attraction?
Yeah,
Could become a national park even, right? Where the crash site happened.
I wonder. I mean, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I think, when you talk to people that are older, the first thing they tell you is, I look at it like this. It took a lot of courage to go into a newspaper and give them your story back then, because that was discouraged. You were thought that you'd worry, well, people think I'm crazy.
Right.
There wasn't like the tolerance we have today. So it really took a lot of courage to go in or tell other people, hey, look, I saw something weird and I don't know what it is, So I think it's changing now. Now we can document things a lot easier too. You get out your phone and you're like, oh, look at that, I'm going to record it.
Right.
We've done an event with Ben Hansen. I don't know if you went to the night sky watch, but they'll say, hey, if we would do and there's events where you just go and you consciously imagine that you want to communicate with aliens and come on down.
Right.
Let's chat.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, we just did a presentation on that on CE5, where we had a couple of experts come and talk to us about what they do going out in the field. It's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah. So I think really changed. Attitudes are changing.
Yeah.
That's a good
definitely
thing.
Yeah. So people that are coming to Roswell this year for the film festival and for all the other goings on around that time period, what are some of the things they should go and visit in Roswell outside of those events? I know that there's some super cool museums and things to see. What would you recommend?
Oh, I love the Roswell Museum. It's really, it's got Indian arts collection,
it's amazing. Amazing.
I love the gift shop. I always go to the gift shop. Best deal for jewelry, is the gift shop,
Wow.
But so that's a fun place to go. Of course, the UFO Museum. And there's other places that people don't know about. Like if you go to the Cahoon Park, you can see there's the names of the German entered World War II.
Right.
That's they were there that carved things because they had to rebuild it. That's part of what they did.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, I think that's kind of cool. But also there's, the historic district in Roswell's cute. If you want to, it's a good place to go kind of hang out. There's some great Mexican food, of course, New Mexico.
Yeah.
Grew up in New Mexico. It's never the same elsewhere. I'm sorry.
No, it never is.
The chili is so good. We have such good chili.
It is so good.
So there's great restaurants too, or you can just hang back and walk around Roswell. There's a cute little antique store. I got a quilt there and I found out it was actually much more valuable. I bought it for $100.
Wow.
It was actually worth $1,000.
Wow.
So that's kind of fun, and it's great if people stay overnight and kind of explore a little more. There's the visitor center. You can stop there and see what there is to see, and they'll give you maps and things. And the newspaper, we are doing the newspaper tour for the UFO festival. We've done it for the last couple of years, and people love it. So
Yes.
it sounds like, oh, newspaper tour, how boring. But
No
actually,
way, it's super exciting.
it's cool because we have our own.
Yeah.
So people come in and they're of course, they see everything. They can see they can't actually go in and see the press because it's dangerous, but they can look at it. And then we tell them the process of how we're printing everything. And the press has a name, it's Baby Blue. So after the tour, we say, we're going to print comics for you. So then we take them back. They see big screens. They can watch the press printing, and they get to see how people adjust things and, and answer their questions. And then it's so funny because I recorded it and people were like, oh my God, there she goes. There she's working. So excited. It's like watching Game of Thrones or whatever. So it's really, it's good. And it's important because community newspapers are at risk right now. And
yes, they are. Yes.
That's a whole nother topic, but without newspapers, without journalists, we lose our muscle mass for real news. We don't have any government events that are local or anything like that. And it's really concerning. So
yeah, it really is. The more and more the bigger conglomerates are buying up these small papers, it limits that grassroots journalism and getting like the heart of the real stories of the people in the community. So I agree. Yeah, for sure. So, hey, you sell on the Roswell Daily Record website some cool merchandise. When I was down last year, I got like the coolest mug. I bought it directly from you. It's coolest coffee mug. I should have brought it out of the kitchen. It has the original headline from the Roswell crash on there. Yeah, she's got some amazing stuff, guys. You've got to check it out.
You can get I have a gaming mat that's huge. I have like a beach towel I have pillows with the Roswell original, newspaper. You can get that all on there, and it's like, it's great because the money goes back into the newspaper. So, to help with events and everything. So last year we went to a lot of UFO conferences. I saw you, I think, at a couple of those. And
yeah, definitely.
It's really interesting because people are like, a lot of people just don't really look at what we have because it's not flashy. And then they're like, oh, you can't be Roswell. You just can't be. I mean, yes, we are the original newspaper.
That's right. It is the coolest merchandise of all the UFO stuff. This is like where it all started. So yeah, you got to get a Roswell mug, folks.
Yeah.
This July.
Sure. Yeah, we appreciate it. I mean, like I said, that it goes back in the newspaper. So we because our major focus is the newspaper. We have published every day since the 1880s. And I was just reading about the Roswell, our history. It was started in the 1880s, but it wasn't really actually the Roswell Daily Record until the 1900s. So, I mean, we've only missed one day of publication, and that was Goliath, the snowstorm. We have always, I mean, that's a lot of days publishing. So
that's an amazing record. That might be like an actual record.
Yeah. Well, we're committed to the community, and that's, very important to us. We are private, my family's owned it since the 30s, and there you go, but we are endangered. We're like an endangered species right now in the newspaper.
Right.
So, I did my master's in education, but it was media literacy. And I can't tell you the importance of having a community newspaper and people understanding what news is versus Facebook and Google.
Exactly.
That's actually slanted advertising, but
that's right. That's right.
So sorry to make that plug.
No, it's an important public service announcement for sure. Because I
Yeah.
think a lot of people live in communities that don't have a community newspaper anymore. They're getting their news from, on Facebook or online in other ways, and it may not be necessarily the whole truth. So,
Yeah, we call
yeah,
those news deserts, and it's a
news
very apt
desert.
term
Right.
for the
Yeah,
situation. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, and I think part of it is it's not like newspapers haven't tried. We have a digital rdrnews.com, roswellincident.com is our website for all things UFO. It's doing a little bit of a remake right now, but you still can go on there and get tickets and or go on the Roswell rdrnews.com is you can get merchandise on that. I mean, that's another plug there, but got to do it.
So, what are you looking forward to absolutely the most this July during the festival? What's like the one thing you're not going to miss?
I love when people come and it's like so cool that they're there. Like,
Yeah.
it's so weird for us because we don't get that any other time of year. But when people come and they're like, it's the Roswell Daily Record. Look at that. It's like we're rock stars,
Yeah,
They're like,
definitely.
oh my God, this is so cool, So that is really neat to see, that people feel that way, it's kind of a privilege
Right.
to see that. But also I think it's always fun because there's a lot going on. You've got your fun events with Galacticon. You've got like your more serious events, like we'll have the Ancient Aliens team there. And then you've got now the film festival, which is so cool. And whoever wants to should enroll in that because we are having some fantastic people judge this. It's going to be, we're having producers judge it. And one of them I love, he's from New Zealand. His name is David Blythe. He has like 40 years of making films,
Wow.
And not like the Hollywood type films, but just like really good films where like he'll go talk to people and, discuss things and do these fantastic films. So, it's a fun thing, So we're going to have like that. And then we're going to have our speakers. And then we have, the paranormal twins are probably going to want to do some paranormal explorations in Roswell. So, hey, that's kind of cool, And I hope they come to the newspaper because we have a ghost or two there. So supposedly.
Oh, that'd be exciting. So this is occurring right after the 4th of July because we're getting some questions on when's it happening? When's it happening? So it's the weekend right after the 4th of July. It starts like on that Thursday. And things really ramp up on Fridays and all day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Come on the 4th in the evening. Come watch the screen. The filmings and then the screenings, and then also you're ready to go the next morning. Because there's so much going on. We always have a tab that we produce which shows all the events. So you can get one of those. There's also an app that shows everything. But the tab is kind of nice because then you have, a physical something to take home too, which is kind of fun. So and we don't charge for that. It's all free. So
yeah, you guys are the absolute best. So any predictions for disclosure or any kind of big UFO news this year? Do you have any predictions for us?
Oh gosh, prediction. I feel like I'm out of my depth here with predictions. Well, I'm hoping to get this book written. I really want to get that done because there's a lot of really, really amazing stuff that is just like these original articles, and no one's ever seen them since 1947.
Yeah.
First came out. So I'm hoping to get that pretty much done. I think other than predictions, for me or for everything going on with the UFO, I hope we continue to have revelations of what the military knows, what the government knows. We've heard some of that in the hearings, but I hope that we see and hear more about what they know that they're sitting on. Because they've kind of said, it's out there, and during the hearings, people talked about, I've seen this and seen that. But you notice since then, it's like, no, we're not revealing all these.
Right.
We're not making all these files public where you can just go in and log in and see, what's in there. So I hope there's more revelations by the government of what they know,
Yeah, I do too. I hope we get some big name whistleblowers coming out and pulling the lid off of all of this, and kind of like David Brush did, but people that have had firsthand experience, people that were there touching the saucers, working in those reverse engineering programs. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, that will be really, really interesting.
Yeah, it will be.
And also explaining it to us and how it worked and what they saw, from
exactly
a viewpoint,
Right.
Because you say you saw something, but what did you see so that, we can understand, how long did you work on it and what did you find out,
Yeah.
I wonder if some of our so-called inventions, were something they found and gave to somebody and said, here's a blueprint,
Yeah, there are all those stories that the transistor, fiber optics, it all came from Roswell originally. It came from that crash. There's all those different stories, and I don't know if those are true or not, but they sound pretty good.
Well, I'll tell you what the scientist's wife told me. She told me
see?
Some of what she said was they crumpled it up and it would straighten. We've all heard that story. I know whether it was this material or something else, it may not even, this may be something else. Who knows? This may just be the rudder of the plane or whatever that is crap. But she also said that they took a blowtorch to it and it always stayed about 70 degrees. She said they took a blowtorch and then they also they froze it in a deep freezer and it stayed 70 degrees. It never changed temperature. And that's something that has never been told or known. So that's pretty
fascinating. I didn't know this. Okay, that's super fascinating. Wow.
Yeah.
And I know you've got a 2:00, so I just want, that was a great way to end it too. Leave us wanting more.
That's
so yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Really Barbara. I am so grateful, and we will keep talking. And everyone, go to Roswell, and we will organize. We're going to organize and a trip from Albuquerque down there for the festival. So
great, we love that. I look forward to meeting you all. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody, for attending the live stream with Barbara Beck. I am still working out the live stream kinks, obviously, as I'm new to this, but I hope you enjoyed the conversation. It was super fun, and I am looking forward to our next event for those in Albuquerque tomorrow, our Cafe Close Encounters. See you there. Love you all.